Buenos nachos. Nachos? Noches. Bienvenidos a
The Perspectives.
The Perspective Podcast. Mi nombre es Jesus.
Josue.
No, Jesus.
Josue.
Sí. No más. Sí. Anyways, welcome to the Perspective Podcast. My name is Josue. As you guys probably already know, I'm from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Shout out to everybody from the Congo. I attended the Oral Roberts University. I'm a fellow believer, chrétien. See? No. Anyways, fellow believer from the Congo, and I'm here repeating myself. I'm working on my Spanish. 2022 is the year that I learned Spanish. So I was just giving you guys a little bit of practice so you can keep me accountable.
Sí, señor.
See, so you guys can keep me accountable throughout the year. So, and to my left, we have Mr. Chase Brown. He was born in Texas.
Sí.
See, he attended University of North Texas. He's an aspiring philanthropic creative, and it is what day is it today?
We should. It's Josiah's birthday. We should know this.
January 17th.
There you go.
2022. Shout out to Josiah. Happy birthday, Playboy. And Chase still loves very long walks on the beach. Why that is, I don't know. It's been about 3 years now, so hopefully we're able to figure it out. Chase Brown, how you doing? Wait, why are you sitting over here?
It just looks good.
Oh.
We got to give our guests the best angle to the camera.
That's true.
Just trying to be generous
Okay.
and change things up.
I understand.
Who knows? But no, I'm doing really good. Literally an hour and a half ago, just landed from Tampa.
Oh.
Got to see the boy Josiah
Yeah.
in his new home state of
He
Florida.
has an estate?
Of Florida.
Oh, like a state. As in,
Yeah,
okay, I understand.
yeah.
I understand.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to walk on a beach.
Yeah.
It was a little windy and cold out there.
It was, I would
but
imagine.
We got a nice walk on a pier
Okay.
today in St. Pete. It was actually very nice. I
I've
was
heard
surprised.
of St. Pete.
It was fun.
Yeah. I've been to St. Petersburg.
You have? In
Yeah.
Russia?
No, in Florida.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There's two St. Pete's.
Oh, I didn't know about the other one. My bad.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll be there. We'll be there at one point.
That's true.
We'll travel the world. It'll be
That's
good.
true.
But no, so it was fun. Glad to be back.
Yeah.
Glad to be here. Ready for this conversation. It'll be good. How are you, bro?
I'm good, man. I had the Omari on not too long ago, but
You
I was
did?
able to recover. So we thank God for that. I danced a little bit during my time of having the vid. So, but anyways, enough about me. For the first time in the Perspective Podcast, we're both wearing bomber jackets, as you guys can probably see. Mine's a little bit more poofier than yours.
It is. It looks very comfy.
It is pretty comfy. Shout out to my boy Dre. He knows. Shout out to Dickies.
Oh,
We're
we're
sponsored by
Dickies?
Dickies now. So
Yeah. And shout out to Ever Forward and Max down in Houston.
To who?
The boy. Ever Forward.
Ever Forward.
It's one of the brands that donate to us down in
Oh
Houston.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. So with that being said,
To better things.
it's better things. We have a very special guest on with us today, our very own. It's going to take me a little while to introduce her, but I'm going to hope you guys are able to bear with me. Everything I say is from the top and the bottom of my heart, the very bottom. She's a 5-time, what was that horse thing you used to do?
Escaramuza.
It's called my who?
Escaramuza.
See, she's a 5-time Escaramuza
Good job.
champion of the year. Yeah, you've won at least 5 competitions. She's a 4-time, let's go with business entrepreneur,
Woman of Dallas.
woman of Dallas.
Yeah.
She's on Dallas Magazine. She's a 3-time
Lebanese Mexican of the Year.
Lebanese Mexican of the Year, a 2-time Miss Texas. You guys didn't know that. She does fashion and everything else. We'll link all her bio. Chase will do it at the end.
Yeah.
And I think most importantly, that's probably going to hit us the most. She's a 1-time most faithful, loyal, praying, encouraging, strengthening, establishing. I'm trying to think of more words.
Faithful.
Faithful,
Christ-like.
Christ-like,
Spirit-filled.
Spirit-filled.
Amiga of ours.
Amiga, generosity. How do you say generous in Spanish?
Generosidad.
See, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please put your hands together. Second time, third time on the
Returning
podcast.
guest, yep,
Returning
second
guest,
time.
second time. But she's been here. You guys have heard of her, but now you actually get to see her on camera. Miss Younessa Paulina Barraza.
You did it.
Of course.
Without crying too. I'm so proud of you.
I was getting there.
I loved it. Thanks for that intro. I didn't know I was in Miss Texas. And just everything else. Wow, thank you so much. I didn't know that's how you saw me.
It's okay. Just take
I
it.
appreciate it.
Josue brings things out in people.
Yeah.
I love
Tends
it.
to do that.
Yeah, it's
It's so
2022.
good.
We're gonna be encouraging this year. You know what I'm saying? So,
I love it.
Man.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
How are you
guys.
doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah.
It's the first time on the camera.
Yeah.
Very different.
And you've been behind the camera a couple times.
I have
You
once.
have? Okay, never mind.
Once. I was fired. I was fired actually after the
No,
first time, you know?
Stop the slander.
That camera was just shaking, so after that it was kind of like you're not coming back again.
Wow.
No, it's just Thomas.
better to be in front.
It's just Thomas's schedule was able to get cleared up. That's all it was. That's all it was.
It's okay. It's okay. We did it for you, Thomas, you know?
Yeah.
We tried. We tried our
and-
hardest.
You and Angelica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trying
Yeah.
to keep y'all's marriage solid here.
There
We
it
got
goes. We'll look out for everybody here at the Perspectives podcast. Man, there's so much, we got to talk about, so much to say. But just kind of start off, like, what's going on today? And by that, I mean, so
How was
Chase
your day?
told me, no. Chase told me, hey, so Younessa's coming on. Got to make sure we look good today. So I said, okay. So I was expecting to see a gown, something.
I
long.
know. I dressed
You know?
down for you guys. I mean,
We dressed up for you.
I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
feel like it looks great.
Thank you.
I was contemplating actually wearing my boots, and then I
Okay.
realized the boys are usually dressed down. They're
We should probably
having
communicate it.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay
Yep.
because we were all in the group text. We did put it out there that we were going to try to dress up.
That's true.
But
you did.
at the same point, the fact that she's dressed like this and this is dressed down is a statement in and of itself.
I know, that's kind of crazy.
Wait, what? I don't think I was on that text message. We're gonna have to go back.
You not read our text messages?
I read them. The
You
one
don't have
who
it pinned up in the...
no, I don't. I mean, I don't. Can you?
Yeah, I'll
What
show you
type of
later.
iPhone do you
We'll show her
have?
how to pin a text
Yeah, I'll show you how
later
to
on.
pin it later.
You guys can pin a text.
Yeah, you can pin a text. Let me show you.
No, I didn't
Yeah.
even know you can do
You see
that.
those at the top?
Oh yeah, I don't have that.
Wow.
I don't have that, but I answer all messages. Do I not? We usually have like even 10-minute podcasts going back and forth,
I
That's
guess
true.
that is true, yeah.
That's
and I
true.
do
Give her
answer
that.
all
If
of
there's
them.
anyone who doesn't text back, it's definitely us.
Not
Yeah.
us, you. Let's
Yeah.
not- let's
Yeah.
not put
Chill.
us,
More or
yeah.
less, like 3 days later.
Yeah.
Chase
You have like
Brown.
400 unread messages.
Let's not call me out right here.
Okay, my bad, my
We're,
bad.
this isn't about me. This
That's
is about
true.
our guest.
Back to our guests. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm just here, like
2022.
excited for this year.
Yeah.
I'm excited for being on this podcast with you guys and just
Yeah.
growing and seeing what the Lord is doing,
One of my favorite topics, I was reading through the breakdown of today's podcast?
Rundown.
Rundown. I was reading through the rundown of today's podcast, and I saw the first one. I was like, oh, I've been meaning to know this for some time, and so I just want to figure out how to phrase it to where we'll just give you the floor. So there's this thing in Christendom that people call quiet time. I'm spending
love
time with
it.
the Lord. And people say that, and it's interesting to me because that means so many different things to so many different people. You know what I'm saying? For some people, it's reading the Bible. For some people, it's journaling. For some people, it's praying. For some people, it's crying. For some people, it's meditating. A lot of different things, So kind of speak to us what the heck is a quiet time for someone that's never heard it.
In your words, what is your alone time?
What is my love?
What does that look
Yeah.
like? Daily personal
This is a
encounter?
very intimate
All
thing,
of that.
so I'm curious to know as well.
Well, I think it's something very important. I would say it's definitely something that everybody needs to have. I feel like we're living in a world, in a time where it's very sad to see where things are going, and also where the church has allowed so many things to happen, really. And I feel like your quiet time is, in other words, really your alone time, you getting to know the Lord, you having a relationship with him, you really experiencing that one-on-one with who God is, right? I think we've all been through our own different relationships in like what it's like to be a baby Christian, to figuring out what it's like to really get to know God. And I think there's been such a, I guess, not a really pressing into what it's like for you personally to get to know God on what he's telling you. And I feel like so many people from at least my own walk, right? Being little, I used to think God was a God who you go to Sunday and you listen to the message and people say he's good. I don't understand what that good is, but I would just always hear people say that over and over again. And it also brought so much in my life that when I went through all the things that I went through, people would always say that there was a good God, but I didn't know who that was, or I'd never experienced that before. And I think as I got older, when I really got saved, I've always been in church, but when I really accepted Christ was really at 21 years old. And I've never felt that love ever. That love, that first love that people talk about when the Lord really marks you and he says, I want you to be my daughter. And after that, it was like a constant communion of, I would say when I first found my encounter, it wasn't a daily pursuit of the Lord, but it was more or less on a weekly basis where I realized like, okay, you exist and I feel this love. It's a love that I've never felt before. And more recently is when I began to realize you need that daily encounter. And that daily encounter is you getting to know God like a friend, like I would you guys, right? Spending time with you guys, getting to know what your character is like, getting to know the things you love, the things you hate, because there is things that God does hate. I'm not saying that it's over us, but obviously sin, in other words, right? But it's really understanding that relationship and who is my father, who isn't just a creator. He's not this fairy tale that people want to make him out to be. He exists. He's alive. He is powerful. And what does that look like in my life? And how can I apply that so other people can have that too?
Yeah. And I love it. And something that you talked about is like, in a way, finding the way that you connect with the Lord and things like that. And something that's you've been able to discover that. And especially, I would say, obviously, big credit to Mercy Culture in that. And so we talked about it a little bit with Josiah in terms of the connect types and things along those lines. And so for you, what would you say, well, what are your connect types? And then from there, what are the ways that you've best been able to connect with the Lord through those? And maybe some things that could be encouragements or like practices that others could like pick up on.
So I feel like everybody, I will say one thing, your connect with God always has to come from your heart first. Like position your heart to remove everything, right? I think it's easy for us to think I'm connecting with God because I'm reading the Bible, because you're doing things, because I'm praying, because I'm going here and I'm doing this and I'm doing, but it's never by your works. It's always by the position of your heart. Are you surrendering the day? Are you surrendering your worries? Are you surrendering whatever's going on in the moment to fully just want to see his face? And I think that's the primary thing. I think when I first started my encounters, I would love to worship. It was like I was doing Sunday in my room almost every day. Worship, praying. And I remember that I would worship so loud that my stepdad, he would literally come in. He's like, are you okay? And I would cry because you would feel the presence of the Holy Spirit. And it just comes upon you in such a way where you begin to cry because you just understand this idea of like, I was here and yet you called me worthy. And I feel like there's this passion that kind of fills you and you're just crying and you just can't let it go. So I would cry and I remember my stepdad would literally come in asking, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? And I'm like, no, I just feel so grateful that he loves me. And then he was just kind of like, okay, like, because some people don't understand. But I think it's understanding that it's like David. David was always after the heart of God, and that's exactly what we go after. So, recently, I feel like I connected differently. I do worship, but I feel like I don't worship as much as I did. I feel like I connect more by reading the Bible, yes, but also prayer and intercession, which you guys know that I absolutely love and I adore. And I think there's just something when you hit intercession that when you begin to feel what breaks his heart, you begin to understand that there's another level that you're tapping into, whether it's in the spiritual, supernatural, but you're going into a place where it's all like, God, break my heart for what breaks yours. Because at the end of the day, we're here to do something for his kingdom. We're not here just to live a life. Like every blessing that comes with whatever it is that we have, it's just an added to a want, right? But the need that we have to be here is to really touch other people's lives. Like, how are we doing that on a day to day? And I feel like also your alone time, many people assume I have to go out to do something. I have to lay hands on people, which yes, I think it's a necessity, but also being in your room and figuring out what that alone time is, you can change nations in a prayer, and you can literally change atmospheres that you would never even expect by worshiping, just by feeling his heart. Like, I've seen intercession in a way where I know the Lord has brought me to pray for someone that was going through something that I've never experienced. And I don't even know how to explain that, but it's something where I know in that moment he's telling me, I need you to pray. And just because you're not there doesn't mean that you're not doing something, but prayer can change a situation like there's no tomorrow. So I think learning that your connect with God type 2 is something so important for you to really see where it is that he has you go. So I would say that those two are kind of my go-to, and really just allowing like the word to minister to me and dwelling in what that is. And I was talking about this earlier to Thomas, but when people say that the scripture is spirit led and that it is breathed by God, recently I've been doing something where he like changed my perspective on when I open the Bible, and he's literally asked me to show you what that is. So I've been asking him, like, I want to feel your breath in these words. Like, if you breathe life into this, I want to feel that. I don't want to just read another word where I read it and I'm like, yep, that's what scripture says. That's fantastic. I want it to speak to me. I want it to be alive. I want it to be spirit led, that I'm reading something that's penetrating my heart, but it's also getting me closer with you. And so that's also changed so much in how I basically proceed in connecting with him. So
I mean, I think even in just in hearing some of the examples that you would share, I guess the thought I was kind of running through my mind is, for the person who, I don't know, is probably listening and they're like, oh, I was expecting for you guys to talk about this, but now that we're here, my quote unquote alone time, my quote unquote time with the Lord, I've never been in mercy culture. I don't know what a connect with God is. What are some practical things that I could do? Because, every single time I pray, it feels like I'm just talking to the walls and the walls not responding. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe for the person that might feel that way, think that way, like, what would you say about that?
I would say, going back to what I said previously, when you go into the alone time, right, you're going with a postured heart. I want to get to know you. So a practical thing is, number one, turn off your phone. Like, don't go back to your phone. I feel like many people, they get so distracted, at least speaking from my perspective. I feel like if I had my phone in front of me, I have a thing where I always delete my emails. And so I could be in my alone time, but then if I go to my phone, I automatically go to my emails to try to delete. And then I'm not really paying attention to the intention of what I'm trying to do in my alone time. So for somebody who's never done this before, what is your intention? Like, are you trying to get to know the Lord? Are you trying to see what that is like? Are you just trying to do it because you're doing it? Because if the intention isn't really to get to know God, then honestly, I'm going to tell you, don't even do it. Because at the end of the day, that is exactly what it's there for. And I think also knowing that is one of your biggest weapons. So like learning that, pray really the things that are in your heart. Like, I think there is no wrong prayer. And I think there's so many times that people assume, I've heard this from so many people, once I feel like I'm good enough, I will start doing that in front of other people. And God doesn't want perfection. He just wants vulnerability and surrender. And I think when you come from that position and that heart posture, it's a lot better for you to understand, like, okay, I'm opening up my heart, I'm doing this, and just talk to him. It doesn't have to be this whole scripture of, I have to make sure these scripture verses are correct with what I'm saying, and I have to make sure I don't ask outside of this. Like, when I first started to pray, it was a thing where I remember, and this is back in El Paso, we were with intercessory teams at 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. And
Those are some hours right there.
and we would we would do this before work, and I just recall that they would literally put you on the spot, start praying. And I was all like, I don't pray like you guys. You guys are going to literally pray over Israel, you guys are praying over Russia, you guys are praying over China, and I'm over here like, Lord bless this home, amen. But what I did see was that when they would put me out there, any prayer that went out, they were cheering me on. And once I saw that, I realized it's understanding that there is a, like, there is I would say a seriousness of, it doesn't matter what you pray, but as long as it's coming from your heart, it's what the Lord wants you to pray for. And I think, somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, or they feel like, well, I'm just talking to a wall, just allow the Lord to use you. And sometimes, well, a lot of the times, it's not about what you want. Don't go into your alone time asking the Lord, I need you to do this for me. I need this, or I need whatever. It's not about you. I felt like I've been used a lot more when I've been used to pray for other people instead of myself. So when you go into your alone time, right? Because like I said before, we are here to do a mission and a purpose. So the Lord already knows the desires in your heart. When you go into that alone time, yes, you're getting to know him and his heart, but he's also wanting you to pray for other people. He wants your heart to be postured on other things that aren't you, because that's you being selfless instead of selfish. And obviously, any pride can really get in between you really pursuing that, like tapping into that next level of feeling that breakthrough of, I'm not talking to a wall, I'm talking to God. I'm talking to his heart. I'm talking to literally the King of Kings who can make anything happen. And I will also say one of the biggest transformations, at least in my alone time, has been shifting from not keeping my eyes on the things that break me, but keeping my eyes on what the truth of the word is. On your alone time, practically speaking, I also Google a lot of scripture sometimes. Like if I feel in my heart that the Lord is telling me strength, I begin to Google like, okay, scriptures on strength. And then I start reading about different, like absolutely just so many different things. And I begin to declare the truth. And I think one of the biggest things is that the enemy's so good at keeping your eyes on him that you forget that obviously the truth and the goodness of God is what's actually going to separate you from really focusing and breaking free to that next level. So in your alone time, also don't try to focus on the complications of life. Don't try to focus on, oh my gosh, this is never going to end, or how is this going to happen, or what's the next thing. Focus on what God has said over your situation instead of you trying to put your situation currently into a negative hole. Because I think many times too, when you are in your alone time, you don't feel that breakthrough because you have such a border around that negative thought that you can't get past the good things. And, it's kind of like you're manifesting the good things, but you're really just declaring the will of God and the truth over your life and whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You good, bro? It's a conversation. We got this.
No, because you're about to say something. I didn't want you to lose your train
bro,
of thought or anything, but
We good.
I know you wrote it down probably. But as you're talking, I'm like, it sounds good. It is good. I'm like, it sounds good, but I'm like, but when I pray, I don't feel nothing. I only pray for like 10 minutes and then I run out of things to pray about. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. Like, what do I do in those moments? When I'm trying, but I'm only praying for like 5 minutes. Is there a time limit to how long I'm supposed to be praying for? Like, how does that all play out?
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like...
Oh, that's not for me. Just
No,
a
no,
question.
no. Okay, so like I think one of the most important things is, would you say in an alone time for, whoever's listening, that let's say like when you're praying and you're going off on what it is that the Lord has for you, 10 minutes, I realized like when I started that it was 10 minutes, it was very hard to go to like 15 and then go to 20 and then go to 30 and all of that. But I would also say many times that comes from a place of not knowing more than what you are going through too, right? So I go back to like really being selfless in the conversation. And for example, I've gone through so many different prayer times in the morning where I feel like I stopped praying wherever my necessity stopped. And my necessity as in obviously being selfish. So when I would pray like, okay, Lord, like I need help in my finances, or I need help in making sure that this relationship is restored because it just brings me such sadness. And again, these are selfish prayers because you're consistently just praying about your current situation and your things. But when you take that and you shift it to like, God, where is your heart? And I think that's something that, something practical, that your prayers have power. Your words are very powerful. And when you ask the Lord to do something, he's going to show up and he's going to change your heart. I remember there was a season and a time where I felt in my heart, it was so hardened, and I really needed a change of heart. And I don't think I've ever cried praying like, God, change my heart. And I want you to change my heart to be more like yours. And I was even in the altar, and I recall that I literally felt like, I don't know how much you're actually going to do with this, but at this point, I'm surrendering it. Like, I don't know what else to do. And I remember from that point on, I could not stop crying. I would cry at watching like Bambi on the TV, and I don't even know what was happening, but there was just a shift. There was a shift. And it's true when he says like, when you ask for a softened heart, when your heart is hardened, and it's the same thing when you're going into your alone time. Like practically speaking, I remember I would always say, okay, I'm going to spend 30 minutes with God. So I would do 10 minutes worshiping, 10 minutes reading the Bible, and then 10 minutes praying. That's what I would do. I started off that way. And then from that point on, it kind of began to increase because I had more of a desire of like, God, change my heart in this. Like, what are you telling me? And it went from that to interceding for the nations. And I remember like my heart, I don't even know how to explain, but I would start crying over unbelievers in China is where it started. And then it would happen like praying for terrorists. Like, it's so crazy how it's so easy for us to want to judge something to be right and wrong when we find that, oh yeah, we are so righteous, we are so just, but God can forgive absolutely anything. Recently I was reading Stephen, who was stoned in the book of Acts, and it was something that marked me that, when he was stoned, he literally proclaimed the gospel in front of all these, Jewish leaders. And then they ended up saying like, okay, we're going to stone him to death. And even as he was being stoned like Jesus, he said, forgive them for they don't know what they're doing. And on to the next one, it was really Saul who was like in agreement to this. And yet he did the worst to all Christian believers. And then eventually he ended up converting because the Lord had to blind him for him to actually like show him, hey, I'm here and I exist, like pay attention to me, and now I'm going to use you. And the mercy of God was just so strong over his life that he literally said, you, the same person who is going after my believers, my sons, my daughters, I'm going to use you now to literally preach to these high people. And I began to realize like sometimes we forget that our heart should be postured to literally, what is your heart? It's not about us trying to justify this person did this and this to me. And I feel like when we say personal alone time, it could be so easy for you to stay like, well, I don't know what else I have to do. I don't know. Like, I've only done 10 minutes and I'm kind of done. Yeah, because you're so busy involved into yours that you're not choosing to want to see where God's heart is. So ask the Lord for that. Just simply ask him. It literally says, ask him and he will give it to you. And I think we need to start praying these bold prayers of, God, where do you want me to go? I don't know, like, about you guys, right? But I feel like it's happened that sometimes we assume, God, this is what you want for me. And we go out and we do it, but we never even actually stepped back and asked him, like, is this what you want for me? And I think we have to get into a habit of like asking him absolutely everything. Is this what you want for me? Is this where you want me to go? Because that's literally us being in unison with the Holy Spirit and understanding what that is like. So like for anybody who's listening to this, I really, first and foremost, seek the Holy Spirit. And if you don't know what that is, read the Bible to understand what that is and let him teach you what the Holy Spirit is. And the Holy Spirit is going to guide you. He's going to teach you. He's going to open up, doors that no man can close. And he gives you wisdom that nobody else can explain because he brings that to you. And I really, like, when I say I go to God first and everything, is because he teaches me everything. That's why you ask, like, teach me your ways so I may know you and I may find your favor. Why? Because he's the only one that's going to teach me. I don't want man to teach me their ways. I mean, look at where we're going if that's the case. I want God to teach me. I want him to show me. I want him to open up my eyes to the things that only he can open, And I think when you live in that pursuit of what he wants for you, every other question that you have, it's like going to go through the door because he's going to teach you everything else. And I think that's something that I've done with even people that don't know what that is. I literally will tell them, go talk to the Lord, ask him, and he's going to show you. Because I believe he will. He did it to me, and he's going to do it to anybody.
Yeah. Super good. I think a couple things that I'll add on to that. There were some thoughts that kind of sparked is one related to like your last question about like, okay, if I just don't like feel it, like all that kind of stuff. I think one of the things to remember, which I need to remember I try to remember a good amount, is like at the end of the day, like our faith isn't sentimentalism. Like our faith, like the Lord does use our emotions and our feelings in certain ways, and the Spirit can guide us through those in some ways. But at the same point, I think there's a very particular reason why self-control is listed as a fruit of the Spirit, so that we aren't governed by our emotions or our sentimentality or our feelings and things like that. And so while we think a lot of times in our human mind, feeling and how we feel is such a important thing because it sways us a lot, at the end of the day, it's just like, hey, like a lot of it is about obedience. Like I wouldn't even say discipline either, because like I think there's a difference between discipline and being led by the Spirit. But in that, it's just like trusting that God is a God of his promises. And so from there, if like you're going to be pursuing him, that he's going to meet you there, and maybe a way that's different than your expectations, and might not be according to your feelings, but to endure through that despite the feelings. And that in that, I can't remember, you're gonna have to help me, bro. I think it might be like 1 Thessalonians 2, or I don't know, I could look it up later. It's something like that. But essentially it's like it's endurance that produces hope. And it's something I think we've talked about in the past. It's like, I think it's crazy because I feel like it would be like having a hope in something that would produce the ability to like endure through stuff. But it's just like, no, the endurance comes before the hope.
Romans 5, yeah.
Yeah. And so there you go. Look at you, bro. Good job.
I love it.
That's what, because I was reading through both those. I couldn't really remember which. But no. And so it's something where it's literally like, no, like you have to endure this for there to be a hope that the Lord's going to meet you like kind of how you want and things along those lines. So that was kind of a first thought.
Yeah.
I think from there, a thought that I had going off of like what you said about like, it's about his heart and things like that is like, it's funny. And I think I forget this more often than I probably should, is like alone time is like alone time with him, not alone time with your thoughts.
So good.
Like it's not alone
So
time with
good.
yourself. Like if you were spending time with Emmanuel, your little brother, for instance, and it was literally like you just being in your own thoughts and you talking the whole time, like that's not time with him.
Yeah.
And it's something that actually is a video that Younessa sent me from Corey Russell, that he said in it that like anytime that he prays, the first
30 minutes.
30 minutes is basically like him being silent and basically asking the Lord, like asking the Holy Spirit, like what the Holy Spirit wants him to say. and things along it's listening a lot.
Yeah.
Because as humans, a lot of times we could be prideful and just like want to get out
Yeah.
what we want to get out. And in a way of like humbling ourselves in that, there's like this freedom of self-forgetfulness that comes, that you're able to really just, as I'm sure happens with you, hear a lot of like, all right, Lord, like, what do you want me to speak in a way?
Yeah. And I think like when we first started, like especially prayer and intercession for me at least, I remember I used to go in there, I worshiped and I felt it, and then I interceded and I assumed like it's over and it's done. And I remember like there's so many times that I hear people say, the Lord told me this, the Lord said this, the Lord gave me all of this, and I'm like, he's not telling me that. Like, he's telling me what to pray for, but he's not telling me that. And in the past year, I kept hearing over and over again, after you do all of that, are you actually sitting there and waiting for him to speak, to tell you things? Because it says that he was going to give us the mysteries, right? And the things unknown that literally come from the kingdom of heaven. But many times we are just ready to say, okay, God, I'm done because I'm tired and because I've had enough of this. I love you, but I'm good to go. And so it's okay for you to fill up your cup, but then sometimes he just wants to spend time with you. It's a father wanting to spend time with his children. And I think it's also important that, you know, whoever is going through this from the very beginning, like, sit there. If you can watch Netflix and you can sit there and watch a movie.
You could watch All American like Josue does.
Yes, you can sit there.
Yeah, I said it, bro.
You can sit there and wait for the Lord to speak. And it doesn't take that much time, you know? And you just begin to get this. After that, it just turns into a cycle of like, I love to spend time with you because you begin to tell me things that I didn't know before. And then when he connects them with the outside world, when you leave your home, you're like, oh my gosh, like you are here. And so it's just allowing that relationship to build like you would a friendship. And I think faith is believing the things that you cannot see. So understanding that faith has to be, it says faith is pleasing in the sight of the Lord. Like for him to tell you something and you to believe something you can't see, it pleases him. So the fact that it pleases him, it brings such a, I would say like a complete of, I don't know, like a joyful completeness, even in your heart where it's a hope that only he can bring. And you begin to realize like faith is the only thing that can literally move mountains. But you begin to tap into all these things that obviously the kingdom of heaven is so big, we can never even put our finger to it. But it's understanding that that's something like, it's just very powerful.
Yeah. And just to put a verse to what you just said, the fullness of joy is found at his right hand, which is somewhere in one of the 150 Psalms.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
there.
which one.
I have no idea.
The last thing, can I bring up one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
You're being
conversation.
You're being so,
It's conversation.
you're being so generous, bro. I love
Yeah.
it. Just the last thing I was going to bring up, because we kind of talked about how, you know, a lot of times whenever we do like anything new within our faith, it doesn't even have to be like praying. It could be reading. It could be speaking. It could like literally anything. 1 Corinthians 3:18. Do not deceive yourselves. If any of you think you are wise by the standards of this age, you should become fools so that you may become wise. And essentially, it's this principle that's embedded within there is like if there's anything that is something new that we want to do, like we have to be people of humility and be willing to look like fools whenever we first start it, because the Holy Spirit, while he can, like for Samuel, for instance, with Portuguese, while he can like give people gifts and impart things like super, super quickly to people, there's a lot of times where, you know, we want these moments of breakthrough whenever sometimes like God wants us to walk through it in an incremental way. And like a sanctification like process, rather than in a particular moment. And so it's something that we have to be humble to be like, okay, I may not be too good at this at first, and it may take me a while to develop with you in this, but I know that you're patient. I know that you're gentle in terms of the Father towards us, and I know that you're gonna like help me have the strength to like get through this. And so like literally, it's just like having that patience, being able to endure through all of that, and being filled with humility. Because I would question any of us who would want to be super expert in something super quick or think that we deserve that of like, why do we think we deserve that? Like, yes, we have an inheritance and everything like that. But at the same point, we should understand the Lord's sovereignty and then he's going to give us what's good for us and what he has planned for us. And so trust that what he's given us at that point is good. Be okay with asking for more, but trust him in the process.
Yeah, and I think even too, I know something that you had brought up that you were doing, especially even just this year. I know we talked about it being 2022 earlier, and it's typically, I know a lot of churches do it. At the beginning of the year, typically people will enter into a time of fasting and things of that nature. And I know something that you were doing as well, and so I guess my question more so is like, like fast, like, well, what is that? Like, am I just getting off of social media? Am I just going to stop eating candy for the day?
What does it look like?
You can't get off your Oreos. Though.
Yeah,
Like, we can't do that. We have to.
I got to eat my Oreos double stuffed or else don't eat it.
We might drop a mailing address in the
Facts.
description.
Like,
Maybe
if you guys want to send us some
Oreos.
letters, send some Oreos for sure.
Mini
that would be a
Oreos?
blessing.
Mini Oreos?
No, double stuffed
Okay,
Oreos.
okay.
Yeah, family pack.
Okay.
We got a big family here. But yeah, so I know you were doing a fast. Like, what is that? What is a fast? Like, what does that look like for you?
I love it.
No, you don't like the question?
I love fasts.
Oh no.
Well, obviously a fast, if we look at it from a worldly perspective, it's you really giving up food and more or less water for whatever it is that you're really consecrating it to. In our fast, it's really you setting time apart to really spend time with the Lord. And personally, I feel like there's just so many different fasts. You have the Daniel fast, you have the Esther fast. Obviously, Jesus did it for 40 days. There's so many different fasts, but me personally, I really felt convicted. Anything having to do with Hulu, social media, sweets. I kind of am doing the Daniel fast, but I'm still doing one meal, at least with protein. But I've been spending a lot of time. So basically giving all of that up to spend time with the Lord and just hearing his heart for this year. It's the first fruits. So you do a 21-day fast. A lot of churches do it at the beginning of the year for 21 days. And you're just basically saying, Lord, I'm giving you my first fruits. That way you can show up the rest of the year and just open up, whatever it is that you have for me. You're really trusting the Lord with the rest of the year. Just kind of like when you do the 10%, that you're trusting him with the 90, and obviously the 6 days, and you're trusting him obviously not 7th with the Sabbath. That I feel like you guys might have to do. But
jeez.
But deep down inside, it is something more where you're really trying to get closer to the Lord.
It's okay. Don't think about it. I think I'll be able to get over it. I'm right here with you. Yeah.
Love you guys.
We love you too.
But I think it's something where you're really trying to get to know him more. And just knowing, like, whenever you get tempted to want to get on social media, pray. And fasting is praying and really seeking the word. It's not just, oh yeah, I'm going to give up whatever it is and then continue on with the day, and then I'll see if the Lord talks to me. You have to spend time with him too. And
in the words of Jasmine, it's not just a diet.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people do that where they assume, yeah, I gave all of this up and I did all of this. And then you're kind of like, okay, so what did the Lord tell you? Oh, I don't know. And it's like, well, the Lord speaks. He's like so with you, especially when you are at a vulnerable stage of saying like, this had all my attention, but now you have my attention. So, I mean, I'm a firm believer. I've literally had him speak to me into so many different things up until now. But it's really just you allowing the Lord to tell you like, hey, like, I want you to give this up. Obey me, because it's really about obedience with the Lord, and then everything else just begins to fall. So that's the fast.
Yeah, and I think even just while entering into that, is there like something specific that you feel like maybe he's placed
That I'm fasting for?
Yeah, like do you
either fasting for or that you received during the fast?
Yes.
Because you were kind of bringing that up. So whatever you want to share.
So I feel like it's definitely a fast for this coming year of just so many different things, including, which you guys know of, bear fruit.
We'll be talking about that in a minute.
Yes. But it's also been, Yeah.
I just whispered it for the cameras. Sorry.
But it's also more about, I feel like he's been teaching me so much about learning what cleansing your spirit is going to be like, even after you being a believer. I think many times we go through an idea of thinking, once I get saved, and you feel great, you feel different, you feel new, you feel like you're walking out into something different. But then after you are that new believer, you kind of fall into this idea of, I can never go back to that again. And so he's been teaching me just how much cleansing can happen if you choose to step into the inheritance that he has for you, as Jesus Christ did, right? Jesus was here on this earth, and he was able to command things into existence. He wasn't somebody who kind of waited for them to happen. He would, with authority, declare things and they would happen, whether it was food, whether it was a multiplication, whether it was, freeing people from sickness. And there was just so many different things. So he's been teaching me more about what my identity is in that and what that's going to look like, especially for this year. Because I think there's also an importance of knowing who you are with him without letting other people's opinions affect you, because it's easy for the outside world to put a label on you, but you have to know who he's calling you to be, not what the outside world wants you to be. So he's been speaking a lot of that to me.
And I know something that that you mentioned that Chase kind of, I guess, made a noise about. I don't know what that was about. Bear fruit,
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard about it so many times, and obviously I know what it is.
Yes.
And Chase knows what it is. Thomas knows what it is. But for those of us that may not exactly know what that is, I'm thinking about like my bare feet. You know what I'm saying? Are you doing like a no shoe kind of business, or
yes.
what is?
Think about it. I don't think I've ever seen your feet.
Nobody's.
You
ever
always
seen my
you
feet.
always got your kicks on.
I have
even
been.
in the
He's got some
house.
really nice kicks, though.
Thanks. I just ordered 2 more, but don't tell nobody.
I love it.
I have a.
That's gotta make like 20 already this year.
I know I gotta do better. I gotta change my life.
But God bless you. Gave one of them away to a good friend.
Wow.
So
Giving away your shoes.
the Lord's doing a work in you.
He's doing the work in
But
my heart.
He's gonna bless you.
I'm a new man. If you guys want to send more shoes, we'll put it in the description.
We'll put the mailing address.
Yeah, we'll put the mailing address. But there's a verse. I don't know if you know this verse. Maybe you know this verse. Maybe this is your live verse. So after Noah and them, Noah and his wife and children and daughters-in-law, when after they get out of the boat, God says they're going to curse the ground again, and all these things. And Genesis 8:22, he says, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. So this is one of those kingdom principles, godly principles that as long as the earth remains, whatever you sow, you're going to reap. You know what I'm saying? And it's something that you don't have to be a Christian to see that applicable in your life. If you're going to study, you're going to reap the rewards. If you're going to take the time to invest in something, you're going to reap the rewards, right? And so that's just kind of something that came to mind. I don't know if that has anything to do with bear fruit, but, I was kind of curious, so I thought I'd share the verse too. Yeah.
So the Lord has given me a heart even before. So as a little girl, I would say I always wanted to have a nonprofit, and my stepdad was very good at doing a lot of, he would offer his services. He's a podiatrist, and he would go to a lot of different places. It really marked my life when he went to Haiti when the tsunami hit, and he was one of the doctors in El Paso to actually go to Haiti. And I remember he came back, and I might cry, but I don't want to cry. But it was really hard to see that he told us the story where literally the tents that were set up for the doctors to be able to help out the children were on the airport, literally strip, the airplane strip. And he just said that there was this little boy that would always come into his tent, and he would always ask for food because he didn't have food. And obviously when the tsunami hit, everything was completely destroyed. And he showed us a picture of this little boy, and his eyes were just like, my dad's eyes were just like, he was crying because they realized that this little boy had he had AIDS, and he was gonna die by the time he got to 16. And he was little. He was my brother's age, who is 13 right now. At the time, he was around 6. And my dad was like, I wanted to adopt this little boy, but like, we can't, like, there's just, like, the doctors literally said there's no way. And what was sad was that every single time that he would go to kind of get some sort of care, because obviously when the tsunami hit, a lot of people were injured. This little boy would wake up from anesthesia, and he would literally cry out, calling the nurse, his mom. And it was very hard for my dad. And then just to hear the story and to see his face, I realized there's just such a necessity, and there's so many different things, whatever it is that the Lord has for you. And I just remember, like, also when Katrina hit, there was a lot of people that ended up going to El Paso. And my stepdad, again, he's all like, I'm going to offer my services because I want to help people that obviously can't have, they can't afford these things. And I feel like my family has been always very giving, and I thank them for that. So I think since I was a little girl, I always said, like, I want to do something. And obviously my testimony, which we can get into a different time, but my heart has always been for human trafficking. And I think I realized that what I went through and the things that I experienced, it was very hard for me to understand. Like, there's just so much bad in this world that is labeled by the enemy, but God is so good that he could redeem and he could do so much better. And with that being said, I would always ask the Lord, I want a kingdom business. And it was years that I would literally pray these prayers, and I would probably pray like once a year, like, Lord, I want a business idea. Give me a business idea that comes from your kingdom, because I don't want a business that's of this world. And I remember, like, I feel like he wouldn't give it to me in the beginning years, just because in my heart, I knew I wasn't ready. I was still playing with the world, and I was still playing with the Lord. So I think to a certain degree, he knows exactly when your time is ready, because of you realizing, like, okay, I'm going to take on what you have for me. What does that look like? And when I knew he knew that I was serious, is when he began to drop the idea of bear fruit. And he just really began to instill in me that one of the biggest things is, when I went through the situation that I went through, and it was hard for me to find guidance and help, I knew that I needed to produce good fruit to a certain extent, and I just didn't have that direction and that guidance. And he told me, it's going to be called bear fruit, because these women are going to bear my fruits. And ultimately, the most important part is that we teach women that even though you might go through really, really bad, horrible things, where it's really the enemy that's trying to steal your identity, you begin to realize that the enemy cannot mark you, because if you're marked by God, there's no way his hand can ever really mark you the rest of your life. And you have to arise as a warrior, because there's other women that need to hear this too. And so he began to literally show me, like, the same thing that you wanted, you're going to create that for other women. And not only that, we're going to empower these women. I'm not about the feminist movement, because I feel like it devalues men, and it devalues their character. It devalues what they're made for. And I want to empower women in a healthy way, where they end up taking that back to their generations. I want women to know, the Lord has called me in this. If I can forgive the people that did what they did to me, I can forgive and continue to do that. That when I raise my children, I could raise them to love the Lord, so they know, like, hey, there might be bad things in this world, but know that you should always follow what the Lord has for you. And so he began to just reveal to me bear fruit. He gave me more or less bearing fruits, which is obviously love, peace, patience, kindness. And he just began to tell me, like, that's exactly what they're about to bear. But he's also given me John 15, which really is about abiding in him. And if we don't abide in him, there's no way that we could ever really produce the fruits that he has for us. So it's going to be beauty products for the hair, because I'm passionate about the hair. And so that's kind of where this whole idea kind of stemmed from.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you.
No, I mean, do you want to talk about the pecan trees?
Yes.
Pecan trees.
Yes.
Is it pecan or pecans?
You
I
can,
say pecan.
yeah. Well,
What do you say?
I say pecans.
Wait,
But
Thomas,
you
what
can
do you
say
say?
pecans.
It goes back and forth, honestly.
Yeah, that's
Back and
true.
forth.
Nuez.
That's a good
Nuez. You could say nuez.
Mice.
Nuez.
Nuez.
No, wait, what do you say, MS?
I think I said pecan. What do I say?
Pecan.
Pecan? Pecan?
If I'm talking about a pie, I say pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
Pecan pie.
Okay.
Okay.
To each their own, I guess.
Yeah. We'll put it in our description below. You guys voicemail
No, we'll
us.
just do an Instagram poll.
We'll do an Instagram poll.
Pecan pecan.
This can be on your Confession Fridays.
It should be on my Confession Friday,
It
so I'll
should
add it
be.
in there.
That you've been pronouncing pecan wrong your whole life.
I mean, English is my first language. You guys already know that by
know,
now,
bro.
so, you know.
Mine either, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably should be by now, but
Nah. Y'all are killing it. Y'all
it's
got it.
easy.
We're getting better.
You can
So-
talk about the pecan.
As I would ask the Lord, he began to show me. So we grew up in Younessa, Chihuahua, which is
Chihuahua.
6 hours from El Paso, Texas, border city to Mexico. And my grandfather has pecan trees, whatever it is.
Whichever one it is, right?
We're getting there now.
But yeah,
Her grandpa's gonna be like, "Why are you saying pecan now?"
Pecan.
he doesn't understand. You just talk to him in Spanish.
Okay, that works.
Es nuez. The Lord just began to give me, your products are gonna be these 4 products, and then I was all like, okay, we're going into a market, $1 billion industry. There's so many different hair products. What is gonna make this, product kind of stand out? And he literally just downloaded to me, you're gonna use pecan oil. And it was crazy because I was all like, I'm pretty sure this is already on the market, so I don't know. And so I started doing my research and I realized this doesn't exist really. And it's a very, very small market of the people who do. And then the best part about it is in Jimenez, it's very, very, very exclusive to the production of those trees, just because the soil itself, it can't really be produced in such an area with the same atmosphere and just like obviously the irrigation and all of that. And we actually have a lot of Chinese investors that will come to Jimenez just to buy out like trailers full of these pecan trees, and they try to find them in other places, but they can't. So the number one market where they're actually created is in New Mexico. And then to have them in Mexico, it's just like literally the Lord was like, it's here. Like you have a unique place where it's only grown in this area and not anybody can just get it. So obviously we don't produce oil, but that's where the Lord is kind of taking me to, like, produce the oil, create the products, create absolutely all of this together. And I just was kind of like, okay, I know that didn't come from me. It was literally seeking the Lord in my alone time and asking him, what is this going to look like? What is it going to be? How is it that you want this to kind of come together? And he just like started downloading, this is what it's going to look like. I will also say for anybody who's listening that, you want an idea or you have a kingdom mindset or you have a business entrepreneur spirit, whatever you're looking for, ask the Lord and wait, because it took a while. It literally took years for him to even drop the idea. But then when he started giving me each and every part of the plan, it was literally like waiting. Okay, you gave me the name. Now what's next? Okay, you gave me this. Now what's next? What are you doing here? Now what's next? And obviously in this season, we're going to the labs. We're doing everything else. So it's been literally sitting and waiting and understanding that you can't get discouraged. Don't feel like the Lord isn't listening, because he is. And I feel like those desires and those dreams that you have, it's not because you spontaneously came up with them. It's because he placed them in your heart. Because the more that you sought him, the more that he began to give that to you. And he connected it in a way that you can go out and preach the gospel that might not necessarily look like the 4 walls in a church. So I knew for a fact that the Lord wanted to use me. I just didn't know. I'm like, I know I'm not going to be at a church being a pastor, but I knew he literally, and that's what we keep hearing. The Lord is raising a new generation of businessmen and women, of people who literally seek the Lord, who seek the Spirit. And I kind of go back to, when Abraham was here, and just the fact that he wouldn't move unless the Lord moved him. And he wouldn't do anything unless the Lord told him to. One of the stories that really kind of marked me was when Abraham had to literally tell his wife, "You have to be my sister." And then they went to the Pharaoh. And then the Lord had already promised him, "I'm going to give you riches." And it was the more that I read it, I'm like, this is crazy. You promised him riches, but it wasn't because people randomly said, "Hey, I'm going to give this to you." It's because he had to pretend his wife was his sister when he got with Pharaoh. And then because Pharaoh did something he shouldn't have, the Lord blessed him even after Pharaoh said, "You got to leave." Pharaoh didn't take away the riches. He still provided. And I'm just all sometimes it doesn't look the way that we would want it to look. Sometimes it's about stepping out in faith and realizing when God orders your steps, he will provide the way. And his ways are always greater than our ways. And it's about not limiting our omnipresent God. His ways are just so much greater. And in whatever business idea, he's going to pop out the business plans as your inheritance. He's going to pop out the resources as your inheritance. He will bring the team that you need as your inheritance. And obviously I'm doing this with my best friend who's in New York. Shout out to Sylvia, who literally is my other brain. And I'm just so grateful for her, because literally there's things where I'm like, I don't know how to connect this. And then she's like, it's like this. And I'm like, even that, the Lord connects people that balance each other out in a partnership. And he's all like, you guys have the same heart and you both want to help people, women in human trafficking, and whatever that looks like the Lord will minister to her. Actually, the Lord gives her prophetic dreams that I was praying for. And I'm like, so crazy how you do that, when you put people together, but it's the Lord.
Yeah. And it's something for us in terms of perspectives, which, we've talked about it a little bit, but it was God first gave, I would say me and a couple friends the idea for perspectives, whenever we were 17. And it took 6 years for him to develop that into the first, a actualized vision of things in terms of okay, we're going to do perspectives, nonprofit. But then from there, there was even a struggle with the name for almost a year of just there's already this class called Perspectives that a lot of people know about, and it's just kind of I don't know, but he reassured and gave confirmations on a lot of things. And then with the podcast, we basically vision formed for a year, and basically submitted it to the Lord for a year before we released anything. It was just okay, what do we want to do? I know you don't like Torchies, but we ate at Torchies and I was able to have a conversation about it. So there's some good that comes out of Torchies, as much as you don't want to admit it. But
it's not real tacos. Sorry.
What is this? I don't understand.
I mean, you come from actually experiencing the right thing. You're expecting me to go to Torchies to be authentic.
Whoa.
We never said it was authentic.
Yeah, we didn't say all that.
It just tastes good.
That's all it is.
It doesn't taste good.
It doesn't taste good.
No,
Stop playing.
Not even the tortillas are real.
Stop playing.
That's definitely fake.
So is it water or something?
No, it's just very starchy.
Well, did you have the flour or the corn?
Yeah, which one did you have?
Either or. They're not they're not handmade the way that you would in our taco place.
Robots are making them,
I'm pretty sure they are in a big factory.
They're
not handmade. Once you experience handmade tortillas, you can't go back to that.
Okay, we can see. Just so I will need to bring you down to Mexico.
Yeah, let's go to Mexico.
Let's
go at your family farm.
Yeah, let's go ranch.
Yeah, get the pecans.
Ranch. I'm sorry, I call it the farm.
Ranch. You go horse riding.
Yeah, we can do the
Escaramuza.
I'll be the first Congolese.
You'll be a charro.
See?
Charro.
Churros from El Paso?
Not churros. Charros.
Charro.
Charro beans.
What are churros then?
Charro is the meal version of what an escaramuza would be.
No, I get that. What are churros?
Churro? The bread, sugary dessert?
The cinnamon delicacy known as a churro. That's one of my favorite things ever.
Really?
That you dip 100%. In caramel or chocolate.
No, not caramel, chocolate.
You could do either or.
Offensive.
You've never been to Mexico.
Yeah, you've never been to Mexico.
What are you talking about?
Sure. I've been to Costa Rica.
Churros are all right to me.
I don't like them.
Okay, I thought, thank God. Yeah,
I don't
I
like
to me.
them.
They don't really do it
I
for me.
don't like them. I like flan.
Churros with chocolate.
Tres leches.
Oh, tres leches is my
Okay. Tres
that's it
leches
for me.
is great. Flan, that's okay.
I
But
beg
to
to
each
differ.
their own.
Yeah, to each their own.
What's a famous Congolese dessert?
The cheesecake from red velvet cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory.
I love it. That's my favorite.
That's my favorite.
Oh my god.
Stop playing.
This is why we're friends.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, when's your birthday? I already know. Don't tell me it's on my phone.
You better.
Yeah.
Bro, it's in exactly.
He only
10
got there
10
late to
months.
my dinner.
Well, no, that's probably Ronaldo's fault.
That was.
You gotta blame it on Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Josue. Josue's never late.
Yeah, I'm never late.
Josue's never lost.
Yeah, I'm never lost. I've been found and I've been set free. Okay, cool. So going back to, is it charros?
Charros.
Charros. I'm working on my Spanish. It's gonna be a year-long
Si,
thing.
senor.
See.
Sí.
So as Chase mentioned earlier, Lebanon. Am I saying that right? For the longest, I didn't like the word Lebanon because
Beirut.
it reminded me of LeBron. It was just kind of weird. Anyways, so that's probably stupid.
I'm
We'll
pretty
take that
sure
out.
Lebanon has been there longer than
It has. That's why I said stupid. We'll take
Yeah.
it out. So Lebanon, and then is it Mexican background? So you're in between
Mixture of
these these two cultures. Like that's an interesting mix. I never heard of that
Yeah.
until.
Well, so I'll hold you to it because you
What?
should probably know it. But our boy Nico, the Hood,
Really?
he is
Oh.
half Lebanese, half Mexican.
Who is that?
Raul's mentor.
I don't.
We've had him on the podcast. He lives down in San Antonio.
I don't think I met him.
You haven't, but he's awesome.
Yeah.
He's great.
Okay.
I would
So
love
now
to.
there's two.
Yeah. So it's a really big thing though. So I think, I don't know how long, I don't really know the time frame, but there was a point in time where there was a lot of land in a lot of different parts of Mexico. And there was a big migration of a lot of people from Lebanon who came because they knew that there was property, obviously a lot of land where they could build businesses. And they came in obviously trying to find a place to start businesses and all these other things. So there's a really big population in Mexico City of Lebanese people. And so technically it's my great grandfather who's Lebanese. And from Mexico City, they migrated. There's also a big population in Chihuahua. And we are Lebanese based on his side. And that's on my dad's side. But also it's crazy because we also have a big population in El Paso. So I used to think over and over again, like, yeah, like Lebanese and, Lebanon is super far away, but there's actually a lot more Mexican Lebanese than
you would think.
Yeah, I would think just because of that opportunity of businesses growing. So Mexico has a really, really big population and they are fluent speakers. I am not. But yeah, so that's kind of that side. And then on my mom's side, we are Mexican. My mom was born in California, but my grandparents were born in Mexico. And from that point on, since you are border city, it's very common for a lot of people from Chihuahua to kind of have their children be born in the United States because you get citizenship. And then a lot of them end up getting dual citizenship. So my mom has dual citizenship. I could have dual citizenship, but I don't. I think that would be a really terrible thing. I'm just kidding. But I think, we would kind of be raised from the border because it's not that far. It's obviously you cross the bridge and you're there. And so as a child, I was literally raised in Mexico, but I would come to school in the United States. So
That's crazy.
it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people ask all the time, like, how did you do it? Because it's a different country. It's like you just cross a bridge and you come back.
That's it, bro. Was it that easy to go from the Congo over to the U.S.?
Yeah, you just cross the ocean and
In your red jacket on a plane.
yeah, and then you're there. That's kind of
She knows
crazy.
it, bro.
Yeah, but now my citizenship is in heaven, so
It's okay. It'll get there
I'll get there one day.
one day.
Yeah.
I believe it. I believe
hope
it
so.
for you.
I hope
I
I see
have
you guys
faith.
in heaven. You know what I'm saying?
We
I
hope,
hope
to.
so too.
I'll come to y'all's mansion and go.
You can come to mine. You're more than
I'll come
welcome.
to your mansion. I'll pull up
With the streets of gold.
the streets of
What,
gold.
what's the name of your street gonna be called?
Oh, wait, do we get streets in heaven?
Yeah.
I'm sure you can get whatever dessert. you have.
Reward things
I'm
differently,
gonna ask
but
the
we could
Lord.
talk with
Yeah,
them
the
about
rewards
it.
are a little bit different. Man, if I'm in heaven, I'm just gonna see if the Lord could bless me with Butterville or Butterland or Butter something.
Buttermilk.
What?
Like,
Buttermilk?
Buttermilk Lane.
What?
well, like the streets. What is it? Something about milk and honey?
Yeah, the land of milk and honey.
Yeah, there you go.
And
That's
you
what
gonna
I
live
mean.
on pecan milk?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If it's a blessed word, of course I'll take it. Would you not?
Yeah, I would take it too.
Buttermilk's the best type
Type of what?
of ranch.
You like ranch?
Hey, okay, that was good.
That was
Wait, hold on.
good.
Which one of you guys doesn't like ranch?
Buttermilk ranch,
It's Chase, right?
Huh?
You don't like ranch.
I'm fine with ranch. I
He
don't.
you
doesn't
don't
like
like
it
ranch
on
on
his
wings.
wings.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't like ranch
Oh my
wings.
gosh,
Yes.
this is slander right now.
Slander.
All I've said is that I don't need buffalo, or I don't need ranch to eat my buffalo wings.
So what do you eat it with?
But
Just
you
the
do.
buffalo chicken. I'll dip about half of the wings in there to mix up the flavor and whatnot, but I don't need it for every single one.
I need it on pizza. I need it on wings.
Facts.
I need it on almost everything.
Then just get ranch flavored buffalo wings and
No, it doesn't-
don't even get the buffalo.
it doesn't
Not even
taste the same.
What are
Oh
you
my
talking about?
Oh my gosh.
Dude.
You're not a true Texan.
Yeah, like, where you from?
I'm not a true Texan because I can't take spice.
Because you don't do ranch. Texans do ranch.
Yeah.
Since when is ranch
It's
the
a
measure
thing.
of a Texan?
Isn't there like a
It
ranch something?
No.
What?
If anything, barbecue sauce is the test of a Texan.
Really? Not ranch?
No.
Oh yeah.
It's ranch. Because if you go to New York or if you go to Chicago, they literally do not put ranch in their
The
pizza.
only two
Yeah.
places
But
that are
here
like
they do.
the only two places that have pride in their pizza. The only two.
Yeah.
New York and Chicago.
And it's fine. I don't
Go
like
to
their deep
any
dish.
other 46.
You don't like deep dish?
No.
Go to
Hey,
any
New York
other
pizza's
wait,
kind of
what?
mid. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
I learned what mid means today by Josiah actually in Tampa. So
Yeah,
I
the
understood that
youth.
reference.
The
Do you
youth.
understand that reference?
No.
That's
So
okay.
it's like, okay, something is high, it's low, it's just mid.
yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
average.
That's,
average,
That's
mid.
exactly what it is.
you know,
Yeah, mid range.
mid range.
Like CP3. Like
What?
like LeBron James.
What are you talking about, man?
I'm
about
so
mids.
lost with the both of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are nice Converse you have on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like I said, I tried to dress down. For
Were they
you guys.
white or did they come like that?
No, they're tan color.
Okay, I figured.
They're fire.
I take care of my shoes.
No, that's good.
I usually do.
Yeah.
I try.
We'll get you some for your birthday.
Yeah.
In November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. There you go.
What's the date?
When I said it's in exactly 10 months,
It's November 17th. Everybody knows that.
there you go. Good job, bro.
You
There
are
you go.
such a good friend.
Of course, it's on my phone too, but you know, just for extra.
You just didn't want to
pleasure.
pull it
A
up. We're in the middle of a
precaution.
conversation. We're trying to put our
Conversation.
phones on.
Honestly, though,
Yeah.
you sent me a voice note. That was the real MVP in
course.
the happy birthday. You know,
I know.
I really appreciated that.
I know.
That's amazing.
That was a really good
What can I say?
happy birthday.
I'm just here for the ranch.
Our birthday's a big thing in Mexican culture.
Yes,
Getting back to Mexican culture.
yes.
What are your favorite things about Mexican culture? What are your favorite things about Lebanese
Our
culture?
beaches. That's not culture. I know. No, I'm just kidding. I think honestly, family. On both sides. You know, always
Familia.
being familia.
In the words of Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
And Fast
So
and
one day you're
Furious.
gonna be in Abuela, right? That's
yeah.
that right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna be an abuela.
And you're gonna be an abuelo.
Wait, they're gonna call you Coco.
No,
No?
I'm Younessa.
Wait, I thought Coco was.
That's the name.
That's her name.
Well, that's her name.
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
So in
Abuela
my-
Coco.
Huh? So in my culture, Coco's what you would call a grandma. So when I heard the name of the movie, I thought like,
Oh no.
does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
No, but it's not.
huh?
Yeah.
more you
Abuela.
know.
Abuela is
you know.
grandma.
So there was Coco, just somebody's name.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I would say family. You know, like being together with your family. I'm sure you know that. I'm sure you know of that. It's
Yeah.
always a thing. But no, it's huge families. You have a lot of aunts, uncles, cousins, third, fourth cousins, family friends that are your uncles. that literally just because they're close, they're considered family.
You got a lot of names.
You have to remember a lot of names. And food is so just literally fresh. Like I'm saying, the tortillas to the salsas to just everything. So I think one of the biggest things in culture is just always being very family oriented, and family comes first. It's always a thing. One of the biggest things is that we literally always say that we're thick as thieves. Like if something happens to all of us,
Wait, what's
like,
the expression?
thick as thieves.
Thick as thieves?
Yes.
I'm not even going to say what I'm going to say.
That
Never
sounds
mind.
like an 80s rap group or something.
Thick as thieves.
But it is a thing. Like if it was okay, I will say before it was like if you mess with one, like you bring a lot of people. Even if you guys are like not talking to each other, it's like everybody comes in to defend each other. But I will say, it's about learning how to love each other and understanding that there's a reason why the Lord brings family in your life. I have realized that there's a lot of people I've come across that there's just such a division and separation between families. But in Mexico, it's just really big about having that heart of like stay united, stay together, always be there for each other. And just understanding that your culture is about helping each other and helping others. I have seen that there is a lot of people that, because obviously we don't have one of the best economies in Mexico, but it's really about helping people around you that don't have as much. And in the Lebanese culture, it's family oriented as well. And it's just about sticking to the values and just understanding that you can't really change for the world and their perspective and what they want to place on you. And it's understanding how I can bring that to other people and the unity in that. And so, yeah, that's kind of a little of the background.
I'm still on this cocoa thing. I'm a little disappointed.
What do you call a grandpa in Congolese then?
Coco. Everybody's coco.
Everybody's coco? Coco in Spanish is coconut. Coco.
So you got a grandma coconut?
Sounds like
A
it.
coconut grandma.
So how do you say table? Spanish.
Mesa.
Mesa. Us too. Lingala.
Elengala.
No, that's the language.
Elengala.
No, Lingala.
Lingala.
In
Yeah,
Lingala.
yeah.
En Lingala.
No. In, I-N, like in English.
In
Lingala.
Lingala.
Like in Spanish, in Lingala.
In Lingala. I'm done.
No. I'm saying like you would say in English, in Spanish, in Lingala. Does that make sense? Yeah, so we say mesa as well. In Lingala.
In
like
Lingala.
you would say in Spanish.
In Espanol.
In Español.
In Espanol. I'm like,
Mexican
I'm
Masa
so
Plata.
lost.
It's my favorite song.
You're going to have to break it down for me.
Wait,
after
what's your
this.
favorite song?
Mexican Masa Plata.
Yeah.
I thought Yeshua was yours.
Oh,
No, it's that one outside of Chick-fil-A with Ronaldo.
you remember that?
I do. I really do. In Chick-fil-A.
Man, that must
They
have
put
been
out
wild.
a concert for everybody in Chick-fil-A.
We do our best. you know?
Literally.
What was I in, like Costa Rica or something?
Nah, I think you were in Japan.
I've never been to Japan.
He was,
never been
you
to
were
Japan?
You could have
upstairs.
literally said China, and that would have been fine.
Yeah, I
right
figured you'd
there.
been-
You were
Japan.
in your room.
You were in your room.
Chill.
You
were
were
journaling.
somewhere
He was
around the
journaling in his
world.
room.
You were upstairs in your bedroom.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What did Christian say? You were travailing in your room in deep prayer.
In deep prayer.
I will say amen to that. Okay, to start to land the plane here, because we know it's just past your bedtime.
Thank you.
That's true.
So, and I was trying to remember. I can't even remember the last cultural conversation we had. Probably Tadashi. So,
Yeah.
I'm happy about this. What do you think is some things, or just one thing, whatever you want to share, that American culture could learn from your cultures? And then what are some things that you think your cultures could learn from American culture? Whenever you think of whatever comes to mind when you think of American culture.
I think I would say having a servant's heart in America is something that's needed. I feel like one of the biggest values that I've seen in my people that I literally can say has been something that is needed, especially in these times, is that so many people focus on what they don't have here. And there, it's a big thing that because they come from a place of, I don't need to have everything, because a lot of people don't have a lot of the wealth and the riches. They come from a place more of like, I'm happy with not having to have everything. And because of that, I'm able to be happy. Like, I forgot who I was talking to. And in Mexico, it's very common that random people you don't know will literally say, good morning, good afternoon, how are you? They don't know you, but they're just saying like the hello. And it's just about like bringing that bridge gap of like, hi, I'm acknowledging you as a person. And I feel like here we are so constant on, I have to do this, I have to do that. And we don't acknowledge people. And I feel like there's a selfishness in like, I just got to get my things done because it's all about me, 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 me. And when we talk about world events, right, it's all about what I don't have, how people have treated me and what's happening, which, yes, those have to be conversations that obviously are built. But in Mexico, it's like really big on like just learn to like be who you are and just say hi to people, like be there, have a servant's heart. Our waiters too, it's like it's so different, like the way that they come in knowing that, so it's a thing that in Mexico they actually don't really tip a lot of the waiters, but they still have a servant's heart to come to you to really just want to give you the best service. And I feel like that's something that can really honestly, I've felt that it just brings a difference. I think in regards to the opposite, I feel like Mexico can really learn to be more, I guess I would say, I don't even know how I would put it into words, but I feel like there's a lot of people over there that they thrive so much on just like the drinking aspect, and just like it's so common for people to just consistently be drinking and just doing all of that, that they don't know what it's like to actually have kind of like a time to really like, what is it that I like? What is it that I love? But they go kind of with the flow altogether. And I think there has to be more of that, because there's so many hard workers. There's so many things that if they chose to just seclude and take some time, they don't have to look for all these things in all these other places. And I feel like that's obviously kind of like a contradiction to what I was saying previously about the United States. But I do think that that's something that we do very well, especially here, that, like we do a lot of self-love and like learning what that's like. Being able to be alone and knowing just what that is like. And I feel like in Mexico, like I said, we go back to the whole family thing. People don't know how to be alone. And it's kind of hard for them to know that. And then they all kind of go together, and then they fall into these patterns that eventually can be pretty toxic.
So like self-discovery and self-awareness
Yes.
in a way. Like,
Yes.
That's good.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think those are definitely some good takeaways, I would say. Yeah, I can definitely see like, having that servant's heart. It seems like it's such a big heart for a lot of countries, I would say.
So question, maybe this can be the last question unless he has another one, is what would you think about whenever you get back on social media after your fast is done, starting to do some Friday confessions, but in Espanol?
Me?
Yeah.
See?
What about that? Expand territory a little
See?
bit from English to
That's-
Espanol?
I think that's him.
You can
No,
translate.
he could go to Lingala.
Lingala, yeah.
Yeah, there
We
you
just
go.
need you to cover the Spanish markets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think that's happening.
You don't think that's happening? You didn't give it a chance.
That is your calling, not mine.
It is my calling. That's true. That's true. I got to work on them. Speaking of my confessions, it's kind of wild.
It's
Monday.
about time.
Yeah, it's
know?
about time. Yeah,
You just finished the last one, so you have to go on to the next one.
I got about 4 more
Preparation.
days.
Get out of the hamster wheel.
I
It's
know.
Monday, bro.
I'm
After taking your
a
Sabbath.
creative block. I gotta.
You have to do your Sabbath, and then you'll get there.
Yeah, it's true.
That'll be good.
Crazy.
So, any last things?
Well,
Buttermilk? Buttermilk?
Yeah, buttermilk, Miss Pecan.
Just be
Is it pecan or pecan? I can't remember.
pecan.
Pecan.
Okay, my bad. I had a great time.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for, sharing all that you shared. I'm glad that people finally were able to see you
I
on camera. It's
know.
been about 4 or 5 years now since, relatively.
From the tweaked eye.
From the what?
Tweaked eye.
From your horrible photo.
Yeah.
Twig died?
Tweaked. Tweaked?
Tweaked. My bad. Yeah,
You still vocabulary.
vocabulary.
Still learning it.
From the
Yeah.
tweaked eye.
Tweaked eye. Yes. I heard about that. Like I said, it's not my best work. Right?
It's fine.
You shouldn't judge a man's ability. You shouldn't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. That's what I'm saying.
Come on, you're almost at 2K. You need to show.
I am almost at 2K. Look. I'm going to get my boy Thomas. We're going to pull up. We're going to have a big event. I'm going to get the balloons in the back. I'm going to pretend. And I'm going to write some long message talking about this is all God. I never saw this day coming. This is all God.
Maybe Brooke can do like another balloon arch for you.
I need to get in touch with Brooke.
Yeah.
I didn't get in touch with Brooke.
She's incredible.
She is. I saw her work firsthand.
Yeah. And
It
we,
took 2 days.
and we gave all y'all a proper shout out on Josiah's
We did.
episode.
I heard,
We did.
Oh yeah.
you know,
That's right. She is one of our biggest supporters.
the
As
number one
you
fan.
brought up.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. Number one fan,
As the
number
number
one
one
guest.
fan, don't forget the Oreos. Just bring it over.
No.
You're crazy.
I think I brought enough Oreos already.
That's true. You have
should
brought-
know.
You have contributed a lot of Oreos to the house. So
I have. I think at this point, when I come, you're already stocked up, so
Yeah,
you don't need
true.
more from me.
I just need to learn how to be a escaramuza.
Yes.
No, Charo, bro.
Charo.
Yes. Thank you, Jace.
I can't roll my R, but I'm gonna say it.
Yeah,
Charro.
churros, as Charles
No.
Barkley says.
Charro, no churros.
Oh, my bad. There's an inside joke there. Bad joke.
All right, I'm gonna end this before you
Yeah,
get
we'll probably
canceled.
end it. I'm
Oh
gonna
my
get canceled for sure.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Goodness.
What is this?
I can't tell you.
We're
I'll tell you
gonna talk about
offline. Yeah.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you for staying up past your bedtime. We're really excited for everything you got going on this year, and yeah, just all the work that you've put in the years before is
Thank you.
gonna result in a lot of fruit. That's gonna be really good. No, full circle.
We're coming back, guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be a wrap for us today, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll be linking all of Younessa's and Bear Fruit's information in the description.
Probably not. Yeah.
With their, you have the Instagram.
The
huh?
Instagram. We could do the Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we normally do.
Okay.
So we'll link the
We'll do
Instagram
that.
in the description. All of our information will be in the description below as well. If you want to support us, the podcast, the outreach is everything that we do. So, Younessa, thanks again.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Till next time, much love. God bless.